Welcome to Lisplore, which stands for Listen, Learn, and Explore, where you sharpen your English listening skills while discovering new ideas, expanding your knowledge, and diving into fascinating what-if scenarios. If you find our content helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps us going. Stay curious, stay sharp, and keep learning. Thank you. Now, let's get started with today's episode. What if humans never slept? A superpower or a curse? Introduction. Sleep, an essential part of human life. From the moment we are born, we follow a cycle of wakefulness and sleep, spending about 1/3 of our lives resting. But what if that changed? What if humans never needed to sleep at all? Would it be a superpower, giving us endless time to work, learn, and explore? Or would it be a curse, taking away the peace and rest that our minds and bodies require? To understand this, let's dive into the science, the advantages, the disadvantages, and the possible consequences of a world where sleep is no longer necessary. The science behind sleep. Why do we sleep at all? Sleep isn't just about resting. It's a complex biological process that helps our brain and body recover, process information, and maintain overall health. During sleep, our brain clears out waste, strengthens memories, and repairs cells. Our immune system also works better when we get enough sleep. But what if we never needed sleep? Would our brain still function the same way? Scientists believe that without sleep, our cognitive functions would decline, our memory would weaken, and we'd struggle with emotions. Sleep is like a reset button for our mind. Without it, things could go terribly wrong. However, if humans naturally evolved without needing sleep, would our brains develop differently? Would we find another way to reset and repair ourselves? It's a fascinating question. Advantages of a sleepless life. More time, more energy. Imagine waking up each morning without the burden of sleep. In a world where humans never slept, we would suddenly gain extra hours, up to 8 additional hours a day, to pursue our dreams, hobbies, and ambitions. The immediate advantage is time. With no need to close our eyes and drift into slumber, every day would present a full extra set of opportunities. Imagine the sheer productivity and creativity that could unfold. Without sleep, work schedules might extend and learning processes could accelerate. Students and professionals alike would have more time to delve deep into their fields of interest, mastering skills at an unprecedented rate. Extended wakefulness could boost research, innovation, and cultural evolution. Artists might create masterpieces without the interruption of fatigue. Scientists could solve complex problems with more dedicated hours, and entrepreneurs could build and refine their ideas nonstop. But there's more to consider than just productivity. Social interactions could flourish as we would have more time to invest in relationships and community engagements. Family dinners, friend meetups, and spontaneous adventures could happen any time of the day or night. Festivals and celebrations might stretch into marathons of joy, creativity, and togetherness, unbound by the conventional restrictions of time. However, while the prospect seems exhilarating, we must also weigh the consequences. The balance of our lives is carefully tuned by the natural cycle of day and night. Our bodies are programmed to rest, repair, and rejuvenate during sleep. Without sleep, one might worry about whether our biological systems could truly sustain themselves in the long run. Yet in this speculative scenario, let's consider that evolution might have taken a different path, one where our bodies have developed alternative mechanisms for restoration. Perhaps, in this alternate reality, we'd have evolved to use microrests or an entirely different process of cellular renewal, rendering the absence of sleep a non-issue for health. Energy levels could be sustained through advanced bioadaptations that optimize brain and body function around the clock. The extra hours could even be harnessed for personal growth, mental exercises, creative endeavors, and even deeper emotional connections. With proper balance, this endless energy might empower humanity to explore the far reaches of space, dive into the depths of the oceans, or unlock the mysteries of the human mind. The notion of a sleepless world invites us to reimagine our lives, an existence where time is our most abundant resource. While it may initially appear as a superpower, the absence of sleep would fundamentally transform our culture, economy, and even our interpersonal relationships. This exciting vision challenges us to rethink how we allocate our time and energy, reminding us that while rest is traditionally seen as a necessity, its removal could lead to an explosion of human potential and creativity. Disadvantages of a sleepless life, the dark side of never sleeping. While the idea of never needing sleep sounds liberating, there's a darker side to consider. Our natural sleep cycle isn't just a passive state, it plays an active role in our physical and mental well being. Imagine a world where, despite never feeling tired, our bodies might slowly begin to show signs of stress and deterioration, cognitive overload, and mental fatigue. Even if our bodies adapted to continuous wakefulness, our minds might struggle under constant stimulation. Without a dedicated time to process and consolidate memories, learning and creativity could be compromised. The brain uses sleep to sort through the barrage of daily information. Without it, decision-making might become clouded and emotional regulation could suffer. In this scenario, the very traits that fuel innovation and human connection might be at risk. Physical health and cellular repair. Sleep is crucial for bodily repair. During our slumber, our cells regenerate, hormones balance, and our immune systems rejuvenate. The absence of sleep might force our bodies to rely on alternative, possibly less efficient mechanisms for these vital processes. Chronic stress on the heart, brain, and metabolic systems could lead to unforeseen health issues. Even if evolution had gifted us with the ability to forego sleep, the long-term consequences on physical health would pose significant challenges. Social and emotional impacts. Sleep also provides a natural rhythm that governs social interaction. Without it, the boundaries between work, leisure, and rest could blur dangerously. Relationships might suffer as constant wakefulness creates an environment of perpetual intensity. Without the quiet moments of introspection and recovery, emotional bonds might weaken, and mental health could deteriorate, leading to a society that, despite having more hours, feels perpetually overwhelmed and isolated. The paradox of endless activity. The notion of endless productivity might eventually transform into a paradox. The more we work and engage, the more we risk burnout. Even with potential bioadaptations, our human nature, evolved over millennia with sleep as a pillar, might rebel against a life devoid of rest. In a world where time is infinite, the value of moments may be lost, and the relentless pace could lead to a new form of exhaustion that no amount of extra time can cure. Had a boon scenario, the miracle of adaptive evolution. Imagine a world where, against all odds, humanity receives a miraculous boon, an evolutionary leap or scientific breakthrough that ensures the human body not only thrives without sleep, but also optimizes health and well-being. In this scenario, nature or technology bestows upon us an incredible gift, a radical adaptation that redefines our biology, rendering the need for sleep obsolete without any of the typical drawbacks. In this alternate reality, our cells have evolved to self-renew continuously, and our brains have developed an extraordinary ability to process and store information without the downtime traditionally required. Every organ, every tissue operates in perfect harmony, maintaining balance and rejuvenation round the clock. Imagine the sheer wonder of waking up each day, knowing that your body is not only energized, but also fortified against stress and disease. This boon isn't just a physiological marvel, it transforms society. With abundant energy and time, humanity experiences unprecedented growth in creativity, science, and art. Schools and workplaces adapt to the newfound rhythm of life, where learning and productivity soar to levels once thought impossible. The absence of sleep does not equate to a loss of introspection or emotional balance. Instead, individuals develop innovative ways to reflect and connect, using short, restorative moments that spark insight and compassion. Communities thrive as people harness these extra hours to engage in meaningful dialogue, nurture relationships, and build resilient networks. Imagine a world where every conversation is imbued with a deep sense of purpose, where every interaction carries the weight of shared experiences, and where the absence of sleep is celebrated as the ultimate superpower, a gift that empowers us to explore the boundless potential of human ingenuity and empathy. In this vision, our society has not only overcome the curse of sleeplessness, but has embraced it as a pathway to a more enlightened and dynamic existence. It's as if nature and science have conspired to create an ideal state where every cell sings in harmony, Every mind is sharp and vibrant, and every heart beats with the promise of a future full of limitless possibilities. Real-life sleep deprivation experiments: when, where, and their effects. 1. Randy Gardner's experiment, 11 Days Without Sleep. In December 1963, 17-year-old Randy Gardner from San Diego, California, decided to stay awake for a science fair project. His goal was to break the world record for the longest time without sleep. At first, he only felt tired, but by the second day, he started having trouble concentrating. By the fourth day, he began hallucinating, seeing things that weren't there. As the days passed, his speech became slurred, and he struggled to remember simple things. By the 10th day, he could barely hold a conversation and often lost track of what he was saying. When he finally slept after 11 days, he slept for 14 hours straight. Surprisingly, he recovered fully within a few days, showing that short-term sleep deprivation, while dangerous, might not have long-term effects. 2. Peter Tripp's experiment: 8 days without sleep. In 1959, radio DJ Peter Tripp attempted to stay awake for 201 hours, about 8 days, as part of a publicity stunt in New York City. At first, he joked and kept his energy up, but after 2 days, he became irritable. By the third day, he started seeing things, thinking people around him were plotting against him. By the 5th day, he couldn't tell dreams from reality. Near the end of the experiment, he was so paranoid that he accused his doctors of trying to harm him. Even after sleeping for over 24 hours once the experiment ended, people around him noticed long-term personality changes. Some reports suggest he struggled with mental health issues afterward. 3. Tony Wright's experiment, 11 Days Without Sleep, unofficial attempt. In May 2007, Tony Wright from Cornwall, England, attempted to stay awake for 11 days. Unlike others, he used meditation and a raw food diet to try and maintain his mental state. He claimed that after a few days, his thinking became more creative and abstract. However, as time passed, he experienced confusion, memory lapses, and difficulty forming sentences. Though he completed the attempt, his claim wasn't officially recognized, and he described feeling mentally altered for some time after. 4. Maureen Weston's experiment, 18 Days Without Sleep, unverified claim. In 1977, Maureen Weston from England took part in a rocking chair marathon where she reportedly stayed awake for 18 days. She experienced extreme exhaustion, hallucinations, and mood swings. Unlike other experiments, little is known about how she felt afterward, but records suggest she slept for a long period to recover. These experiments show that while the human body can survive without sleep, the effects can be severe: hallucinations, paranoia, and cognitive decline. Even though some participants recovered quickly, the risks were so high that the Guinness World Records stopped recognizing sleep deprivation attempts. Conclusion and final thoughts: embracing the endless possibilities and perils. As we arrive at the conclusion of this expansive journey through the concept of a sleepless humanity, it is important to pause, reflect, and consider every nuance of this radical thought experiment. We have explored the science behind sleep, marveled at the advantages of uninterrupted wakefulness, acknowledged the daunting disadvantages, and even envisioned a miraculous boon where our bodies and minds adapt to this boundless state. Now, in this final section, we bring together our reflections and speculations into a comprehensive conclusion that challenges us to weigh the ultimate cost and benefit of a life without sleep. Let us now delve deep into our closing thoughts with care, passion, and a critical eye toward the future. Recapitulating the journey, from the very outset, the idea that humans might never sleep sparked an overwhelming mix of wonder and apprehension. We questioned, is the absence of sleep a superpower that grants us more time, creativity, and productivity, or is it a curse that undermines our natural rhythms, leaving our bodies and minds in perpetual imbalance? Throughout our exploration, several key themes emerged. 1. The biological imperative of sleep. We learned that sleep is far more than mere rest. It is a fundamental, restorative process that clears toxins, repairs tissues, consolidates memories, and regulates our mood. Without this essential downtime, every facet of our being, from cellular repair to neural connectivity, would be challenged. Could our bodies find an alternative means of renewal if sleep were obsolete? The answer remains a tantalizing mystery that forces us to reconsider our understanding of biological evolution. 2. The promise of more time. One of the most seductive prospects of never sleeping is the unimaginable gift of extra hours each day. Imagine the potential for creativity, scientific discovery, and personal growth if every waking moment were at our disposal. This surplus of time could usher in an era of innovation and achievement, potentially redefining the limits of human endeavor. Yet, as we embrace this idea, we had to ask, would the quality of our lives be compromised in the absence of natural cycles of rest and recovery? The shadows of continuous wakefulness. In juxtaposition to the utopian vision of endless energy, we confronted the darker implications of a life without sleep. The risks of cognitive overload, emotional dysregulation, and physical decay loomed large. The very processes that enable us to learn, remember, and connect on a human level might falter without the gentle interlude of sleep. How would our brains, which rely on the restorative magic of the sleep cycle, adapt to unceasing stimulation? These concerns underscore the delicate balance that our evolutionary history has crafted. 4. The miraculous boon, a world transformed. Amid the uncertainty, we envisioned a scenario where a transformative boon, be it through evolutionary adaptation or groundbreaking scientific innovation, grants humanity the ability to thrive without sleep while preserving, or even enhancing, our health and well-being. In this speculative reality, our bodies would be equipped with continuous regenerative capabilities, and our minds would develop new methods for processing and storing information. The boon scenario paints an inspiring picture of a society that has transcended the limitations of biological necessity. Could this be the ultimate superpower that propels us into a future of endless opportunity and unbridled creativity? It is a question that fuels our imagination and challenges the very fabric of our existence. Implications for society and culture. The ripple effects of a sleepless existence would extend far beyond the individual. Consider, for a moment, the dramatic societal and cultural transformations that might occur. Economic and work-life transformations. With more hours available for work and leisure, the very structure of our economies would be redefined. The traditional 9-to-5 workday might give way to an around-the-clock marketplace where productivity soars and innovation becomes the norm. Businesses would operate continuously, and education systems would adapt to an unending cycle of learning and discovery. Yet this raises a poignant question. Would our social bonds and communal identities survive in a society that never pauses for reflection or rest? The risk of overwork and burnout, even in a seemingly optimized system, remains a critical challenge. Social interactions and human relationships. Sleep is not only a biological necessity, it is also a cultural cornerstone. The quiet hours of the night have long been a time for intimate conversations, self-reflection, and the forging of deep interpersonal connections. Without sleep, the boundaries between work, play, and rest would blur, potentially straining relationships and altering the dynamics of family and community life. Would endless wakefulness lead to richer, more sustained interactions, or would it create a relentless pressure that erodes the quality of human connection? The emotional cadence of our lives might be forever altered by the loss of these natural pauses. Cultural evolution and the arts. Artists, writers, and creators often find inspiration in the quiet, introspective hours that sleep interrupts. The night has historically been a muse, a time of dreams, mystery, and the uncharted depths of the human psyche. A world without sleep might spur an explosion of creativity as individuals harness the continuous flow of time to explore new artistic frontiers. Alternatively, the absence of restorative rest could dull the creative spark, leaving behind a culture that, despite its frenetic energy, lacks the reflective soul that once defined it. Economic and industrial transformation. The disappearance of sleep would undoubtedly revolutionize the global economy. With no need to rest, industries could operate at full capacity around the clock, increasing production and efficiency beyond current limits. Businesses would have to adapt to a nonstop workforce, potentially leading to new economic models where shifts and work-life balance would need to be redefined. However, this constant productivity could also bring about unforeseen challenges. Would people be able to sustain focus and motivation indefinitely, Or would burnout and exhaustion take on new, more insidious forms? The nature of employment, wages, and even leisure would be transformed in ways difficult to predict. Health and human biology, the physiological consequences of eliminating sleep would be profound. Currently, sleep is vital for memory consolidation, immune function, and overall mental and physical well-being. If the human body no longer required sleep, would these processes be seamlessly integrated into waking life? Or would we need alternative methods to compensate for the regenerative functions that sleep provides? The medical field would need to address new challenges, potentially developing treatments or lifestyle adaptations to support a world in constant motion. Psychological and social impacts. The absence of sleep would alter human behavior and psychology in unpredictable ways. Sleep plays a crucial role in emotional regulation and mental health. Without it, would individuals become more irritable, anxious, or even lose their ability to process emotions effectively? Alternatively, if sleep was no longer necessary, would our brains adapt in ways that make emotional stability the new norm? Relationships could also change drastically. People would have more time to spend together, but would this lead to stronger bonds or increased conflicts due to the lack of natural breaks from social interactions? Entertainment and leisure. With 24 hours at our disposal, the way we engage with entertainment would change significantly. The film, gaming, and tourism industries might boom as people seek more ways to fill their time. On the other hand, would the value of entertainment diminish if there were no natural pauses like sleep to break up experiences? Would we still crave stories and escapism as we do now? Or would an endless cycle of engagement make everything feel monotonous over time? Creativity and productivity. One of the biggest potential advantages of a sleepless world would be the explosion of creativity and productivity. Imagine having uninterrupted time to learn new skills, create art, or innovate without ever feeling fatigued. However, would creativity suffer without the dream state, which plays a major role in problem solving and imagination? Many of history's greatest ideas have come from dreams. What if eliminating sleep also erased that hidden source of inspiration? Impact on human evolution. Over time, a sleepless society might lead to drastic evolutionary changes. Would our brains become more efficient, adapting to process and store memories without rest periods? Would our metabolism change to compensate for continuous activity, potentially leading to longer lifespans, or conversely, faster aging due to constant energy consumption? Social and psychological changes. In a world without sleep, social structures would change dramatically. People would have more time for relationships, entertainment, and personal growth. But would the absence of rest create new social pressures? Would people feel obligated to be productive at all times, leading to burnout despite never feeling physically tired? Mental health might also be affected. Sleep plays a crucial role in emotional regulation. Without it, would anxiety, stress, and mood disorders become more common? Or would our brains adapt to new ways of processing emotions without rest? Technology and innovation. With no need for sleep, technological advancements would accelerate. Scientists, engineers, and researchers would have uninterrupted time to innovate. Space exploration, medical research, and artificial intelligence could progress at an unimaginable rate. However, would creativity suffer? Many artists and writers find inspiration in dreams. Without them, would human imagination lose its spark? Or would we discover new ways to ignite creativity in a world that never sleeps? Health and aging. Without sleep, would our bodies age faster or slower? Sleep is essential for cell repair and memory consolidation. If we no longer needed it, would medical science have to develop new ways to maintain brain function and prevent exhaustion? Additionally, what about mental health? Sleep plays a crucial role in regulating emotions and stress. If people never rested, would anxiety and depression increase, or would our brains adapt to a new state of constant wakefulness? The social and cultural impact. How would society change if no one ever needed sleep? Would people become more productive, or would they burn out faster? Work hours could extend indefinitely, potentially leading to more innovation, but also raising ethical concerns about labor rights. Would companies exploit this, or would humanity use the extra time for personal growth and creativity? Social life could also change. Nighttime would no longer be for rest, but for extended activities, learning, or entertainment. Would nightlife flourish, or would people struggle to find moments of peace and solitude? The psychological effects. How would the human mind adapt to never sleeping? Would our brains become sharper, or would we lose something essential in the process? Dreaming plays a crucial role in processing emotions and memories. Without sleep, would our minds become overloaded with information, leading to increased stress and mental instability? Or would we develop new ways to rest our minds without actually sleeping? Would relaxation techniques like meditation replace sleep? Or would humanity discover a new form of mental recharge that doesn't require unconsciousness? The emotional and social impact. With no sleep, how would relationships change? Late night talks, bedtime stories, and morning cuddles, would these traditions fade away? Or would new bonding experiences emerge in a world that never rests? Would people become more connected or more distant? If everyone had unlimited time, would we spend more of it with loved ones or become too distracted by endless possibilities? And what about loneliness? With no natural break in the day, would people feel more exhausted emotionally, even if their bodies never tired? The final thought, a gift or a nightmare? In a world without sleep, would we truly gain more or would we lose something even greater? Sleep is not just rest, it's a reset, a moment of peace, a time for dreams. If we lost it, would we become more productive or would we lose a part of what makes us human? So, what do you think? Would a life without sleep be a dream come true or an endless nightmare? Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps us make more videos and grow the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss any upcoming interesting episodes. Stay curious. See you in the next one.